This conference will now be recorded.
Before we begin, we must provide a disclaimer that the following information provided is not investment advice. Our methods, teachings, and content are for educational purposes only. All materials and lessons are protected assets of Market Making Strategies LLC. Any plagiarism or sharing of our content is strictly prohibited, and any violators are subject to applicable laws. With that being said, once again, good morning, everyone. Today is November 19th, 2024. We are getting really close to Thanksgiving and the holiday season, a time that I know personally I absolutely love and enjoy. Really love the holidays, absolutely love Christmas. Turn into a bit of a child for the month of December and just always try to remain grateful, have a lot of gratitude and happy for everything that this life has given us. With that being said, let's start looking at our morning list. So the first one I'm going to look at is TRNR. Why is it the first one that we're looking at? Well, as we can see, definitely got range today. Started at 3, traded up to 5. It's been trading between 50-cent increments as a cheap stock, which I absolutely love. Because why do I love that? Especially, as I said earlier in the room, it has a small print personality. What does that mean? That means once you get in with the correct entry, it will get away from your entry really quick. That gives you such a big safety net and makes it easier to manage your trade. Now, we have ask prints at 450. We have buying everywhere here. So we've got buying in this at 35, 39, 41, 420. So the way that it was buying also was going down. So this makes complete sense that it's still moving downwards. In reality, we really want it to hold this area, and I would say 390 to be more specific. But it's not trading. So if it wishes to go down more just to keep building, it's not a problem. This is not a trade until the volume comes back in. We need the volume to come back in and the print personality to remain at 3 to 4 prints of short-term buying, which means you don't want to see too many prints coming in back again at 4, 450, 420. You want them to be 411s, 417s, 438s. Those are what we call short-term now type prints. With the right volume, this has the buying to double top back to 5. The 450 that I saw was more than what 5 is because it was a higher print personality. When you add in the build that we've seen here, 5 to me being a psychological level, clearly we must watch all the information provided to us as it nears that level. It has to be the first target. But I would say overall, does it have the type of buying for more than 5? Not quite yet. I would want to see if it doubles at 450 to add to what it's already doing. So is it building more at 450? Is it solidifying that 450 is where it wants to build a larger position? That will give us an understanding if 5 is the target or if we have a possibility of more. Given its move from 3 to 5, just as in itself a calculated move, if we were to then go from 4 to 6, that would also be a calculated move. But what that would require, you don't want to see holdups too much, especially at 5. If you see the build occurring between 4 and 450, that's good, because then what you should expect is with the right volume and the right phase of trading into money time, you want 5 to play with the short-term prints and not cap it off and start building. And one of the key things that you want to see is how does the volume look when it comes to this area? You want to see the volume maintaining consistency and being high. If you get good volume that comes up to 5, you see a lack of prints, a lack of extension prints, and you start seeing volume fall off, that's going to be a tough trade to see that really moving within the same phase past 5, and it could continue on to build. So keep that in mind. So that would be our number 1 stock. Your first target would be 5. Print personality right now has been 3 to 4, increments of 50 cents. So you want to see the right volume coming in. And as we can see, this has traded already 14.3 million shares, but it's been consistently trading in this area in the range of about 40 to 50,000 shares a minute. It had a huge buy here, as you can see, which is a lot of the volume. So we just want to see how it opens up. We just want to see volume coming back in. Anything that starts coming in above that 200,000 range and moving with the right volume, this is what we're going to be looking at. The second stock we will be looking at is UAVS. Now, UAVS is a story from yesterday. We know it was building the entire pre-market yesterday, all the way up into some of the levels closer to even 450 and above. Today, and what we did see in the open yesterday, is it wanted to continue build. It had one bar in the open coming close to 5, and then after that it just continued on building for the remainder of the day. So technically it's still in a build phase until it tells us it's ready to now move towards its target. What I did like about what I saw in this is I did see some prints at 450, and I did see some accumulating here. And as we can see with the volume has definitely lowered down. This is far too low of a volume, but it's sitting at 4. Again, this is a very big level considering that we had 5 as a target, first target, and we had 6, enough buy for this to potentially get to 6. So the fact that it's still building is giving rise to the range being past 5. So if it's going to build under 5, why would 5 want to get in the way? Very similar story to TRNR. What is the difference? The difference is UAVS has traded more shares, and it has been now building for 2 days. That gives it the range possibilities of being higher, but it also means that it cannot lack in clarity. It cannot lack in the volume that it will need to trade and the substance within that volume. If it's got high volume, high build prints, the build isn't done. We are still stuck in an intraday build period. So be mindful that for this to release to get to targets, you want to make sure it, one, has huge consistent volume, and 2, the substance within volume must say we are in money time, we are not building. And how do we know the distinction? A 3 to 4 print personality of short-term prints, which would be, like I said, 11s or 17s or 22s, 38s, 36s, even 41s. Those are saying we want to move now. The building has been done. We are getting in on the move towards the target. If you go in and you see this volume coming back in, but the volume has nothing but 5 to 6 prints and nothing but huge build prints at levels, and starts printing at 420 and 410 and 430, and that volume is good, but it's not as high as it needs to be for those prints to be traded, then you know it's going to remain in a build phase. It's very simple. There cannot be any lack of clarity or any questions when this releases, because it has been building for 2 days. So keep that in mind. 5, as always, would always be your first target, being a psychological level and the bigger psychological initial level, but we know it has buying that's further than 5. Another thing I would remind you, if you look at the daily chart, this thing has come from 180 back in, let's have a look, 2 years ago, a year ago, and it's gone from 180 all the way down to $4. What could that also mean? Well, clearly we know for a stock that's gone from 180 down to $4, there's a lot of huge short positions. So this is also a lot of short covering. Those who have now covered their long strategy shorts, it's coming in here. With the short positions and covering, because it is the same as buying back the shares, that means that we will see moves. So if you think they're just building for a future move, just remember, look at the daily. The daily says the likelihood is this is much more short coverings. Could be new buying given it's dropped in value so significantly, but I would keep both of those in mind. Next stock that we're going to look at is SMCI. I've been watching SMCI, and very similar to yesterday, it's had a beautiful 3 to 4 print personality, and around about 710, 715, the buying really started. 26.25, 3 to 4 print personality, 26.50, 26.60, 26.56, 27, 27.10, 27.20, 27.15. This has been doing nothing since I watched it in this entire period than have a bunch of nice build prints. That's all it has done. This 100% has the ability to get back to 30 once again. I've noticed this is having trouble around that 30. Again, you know there's going to be a lot of covering because it traded down from 110. But the amount of days I've seen SMCI with nice prints, the covering has got to have come to an end, and this is people taking a position, seeing the valuation is down to its lowest, and they believe in the company to have a better future moving forward. So I still see at some point this has to break 30. The buying has just been too significant. I wouldn't be looking at a trade back to 30. This one has range. We know it trades an average of $3, has a high of 11. It's in a higher volume stage, so we know it has a lot of volume going on. So remember, for this to trade right back to 30 would not be hard. Where would I be looking for this? Look at the build period between 28 and 26. That's a huge build period. I would be looking at a trade from this anywhere from around 27 as a target midway point, because that would make sense for them to start increasing value and moving it past 28. Make sure you're mindful that it doesn't get stuck at 28 again. If it does that, it's going to continue in its build phase. And number 4 is PRFX. I was watching this. What did I like about it? And I think I said this at 7:30. There was something that was interesting, and that was this part here. This was a huge take bar of 500,000. The only reason I found that interesting is because if somebody was going to take a take bar in this particular setup with a stock that's moving, but it needs so much volume and it's so cheap, that was the type of take bar that I would require before seeing volume coming in, which would need to honestly start being 700,000-800,000 minimum average to then show us that it's going to keep building and buying and there's a trade forming. We didn't see that. We didn't see that. Take bar and it's still building upon it. Then it comes back and I saw some more nice buying and then it just slowly weathered off again. I don't think this is going to do anything at all. I think it's even going to start looking extremely quantity and open. A stock like this just needs considerable amount of volume, and I mean serious volume, millions and millions of shares a minute. If you see, keep it on your side list. If you start seeing some ridiculous volume coming in, pay attention. But like I told you, TRNR, SMCI, and UAVS have better potential. So those are the 4 for the morning. If anybody has something else they'd like me to look at, I've had a look at the everydays. I've had a look at some old stories, not seeing anything that's worth keeping an eye on so far. But if I've missed something, please let me know now. Give you guys a few seconds before we get ready for our morning. Okay, with that being said, as we always say, be patient. Make sure you have planned your trade. If you like, and you've heard what I've said about these stocks, make a note, plan what it looks like, plan what type of volume you need. How does that substance look? Once you've got what you need, you don't need to keep talking about it. Simplify your trading. If you've got the buying you need for a certain level, so for instance, if we know we got the buying in TRNR for 5, we don't need to keep talking about it. We just need to talk about what does it look like now to get there? What does the money flow every minute in the volume look like to get to 5? That's what's key. No longer needing the fact that do we have enough buying to get to 5? We do. We have more than enough buying to get to 5. Now we just need the volume and the correct money flow within the phase for us to test our first point of 5. On the flip side, what does it look like for it not to do that to a high percentage? What could the opposite side look like? Well, opposite could be that it just a volume kicks in, comes in under 4, and it builds going downwards. That takes away our trade straight away. So know your possibilities, plan your trades, help each other. Any questions, help each other. And with that being said, let's get ready for our morning. And at 11 o'clock, we will have our traders talk. It'll be a basic lesson and most likely on a trade from today or yesterday. So let's have a beautiful morning, everyone.